Hey everyone, it's Hiedi Scott with DIY Dreaming. Welcome to this week's episode of Christ and Crafting. I'm really excited about both the crafts, there's going to be two, and the Christ part, the thing we're going to talk about, which is Proverbs 31, verse 26. So as you're hopping on, say hi, let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you have any questions along the way, and feel free to sprinkle. And let's just jump right in and get started. In case you didn't guess already, we're going to be doing a decoupage project using Mod Podge. We're going to use some pages from my vintage dictionary that my grandmother left me. I've been doing a lot of crafts with this and I love it. We're going to be using one of these composition notebooks. And then we're also going to be using one of these just plain canvases that you can get everywhere. All right. And then we're going to use this awesome stencil that has a bunch of different pieces, all Proverbs 31 verses. This is a lovely stencil. In fact, let me see if I can quickly put a link down here for it. We're going to be using this stencil, and we're going to be stenciling on our little notebooks. And I did it. Okay. And we're also I'm going to show you how you can stencil on this little canvas that we've done. So these stencils that I'm talking about right now and the chalk paste came from Magnolia, and I put a link right there just in case you're interested. Okay, so the first job, the first thing that we need to do is get some pages out of our dictionary. You could use sheet music, you could use scrapbook paper, you could use craft paper. Honestly, it can be whatever you want. When I'm doing a decoupage project though, and I'm looking at pages here in my dictionary, I really want them, like, this is not a good page for obvious reasons. It has a lot of really dark graphics. I want to choose a page or choose pages that look more like this. The back of it's not good, but this side is, okay? It's mostly text. If you're doing sheet music or hymnals or just a book, you want to, the first thing you're going to want to do is cut out your pieces that you're going to Mod Podge with. And I like it better when there's not a lot of empty space. So what I usually do is I'll just take the pages that I'm going to be using. These scissors are not good. And I'll cut this little swirly-do around the text. You can tear this if you want to, but I think it looks nicer. It's more interesting when it has like swirly edges. Can you see what I mean by swirly edges? I'll finish this up and I'll show you the whole thing. Where there's not spots where there's no print at all, if that makes sense. You'll see exactly what I mean in just a second. And oh my word, I have done so many Mod Podge decoupage projects using vintage encyclopedia pages. So now I'm going to just cut down the center of it, again in this swirly-do fashion. That's technical. And then I'm going to cut smaller pieces. And the first time I did one of these Mod Podge projects, I cut them into teeny tiny little pieces. And you know what? That multiplied the amount of time that the project was going to take me, and it really didn't add a lot to it. So now I don't do super small pieces like this. And then you're going to want to have a couple to fill in that are smaller. Okay, and these all have these swirly edges. Okay, so I have a bunch. Like, I would not use this or this. I have a bunch of pieces over here, and we're going to be using, we're going to be using one of these composition notebooks that you can get anywhere. This one came from Dollar Tree. We're going to be putting We're going to be decoupaging the cover of it. I'll show you how to do that. Then I'll show you how to finish it off, and then we'll stencil it. And the idea of this is that it would make such a nice gift. And if you're using this, this stencil right here, it would be so awesome to give it to somebody in your life, maybe a Christmas present, and to, in the inside of it, to write how they have been helpful to you, how you've appreciated their wisdom, how they've encouraged you, how they've been so kind to you. You might even want to write a few of your favorite Bible verses in this book, and then encourage them to use the book that you're going to make and give to them for keeping track of whatever they want to keep track of, whether it's prayer requests or like a to-do list or their favorite Bible verses. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's me, but I love paper. And I like making lists. I like keep writing things down. And I think that people that are in their 40s and up, they really do too. So, okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get some Mod Podge out. And we're just using this Mod Podge matte. That means it's not shiny, but if you have some Mod Podge that is shiny or some that has sort of a tint of ivory in it, use what you have. This is, if you're going to buy some, this is what I prefer. And you can also make your own Mod Podge. You can Google that. And it's really just a combination, where's my lid, of white school glue with water. So you can do that too. And I'm going to be using a foam brush, and I'm going to get out some wipes because this is going to get your hands all sticky. So how are you guys doing today? Let's see. I see quite a few people that are on. If you have questions as we're going along, let me know. If you have a friend or family member or someone you know that is seeking the Lord, or has asked you some questions, or even is a solid believer, or maybe is not a believer at all, feel free to share. Whoops, I'm not supposed to say that word. Feel free to tell them about DIY Dreaming and how we do this Christ and Crafting every Sunday, or feel free to sprinkle this post to your social media. So to get started, we're just, let's come down a little bit. We are just going to use a foam brush and some of this Mod Podge. Oh wait, I forgot the first step. Sorry. This is going to protect the rest of the notebook so you don't glue your pages together, which I've done. And so it's just not a big mess. So I'm just going to take a long piece of saran wrap, and I'm going to open up the first page of my little notebook. I'm going to lay this over it. Straighten it out the best that I can. Okay, and then we're going to essentially seal all of this in. And it doesn't have to be perfect, but this just, if you're a messy decoupager, then this makes it a little bit easier. So you can see that is all protected. You could also use wax paper. You could use a piece of craft paper, a big piece of notebook paper, whatever you want to protect the rest of the journal. So, and this is just one of those composition books. You could use a spiral notebook, a hard-bound book kind of notebook. It's really up to you. I like these though because they're so affordable, super affordable. So I'm just putting a good amount of Mod Podge over here in this corner, and we're gonna start laying down some of our pieces. And I like to lay them so that they're going over the edge, and so that they are all different directions. All right, so as soon as you get one laid down, you're going to put a little bit of Mod Podge over the top of it, especially the edges where another piece of paper might be touching it. Does that make sense? We're just going to do a little bit of this, and then I've already, before we got started, I already went ahead and did this so that you don't have to watch me Mod Podge the whole thing. And I do want to give you a couple tips though. Some of these notebooks have this little black binding. I like to do my paper just a little bit over that, and I like to do a coat all over this black binding of the Mod Podge so it all looks kind of shiny and it doesn't look like there's little messy spots where it's shiny and then where it isn't. Okay, so see, we didn't worry about going over the edges, and we would just continue layering our paper on here until the whole thing was covered. And then we're going to go back and just smooth out the Mod Podge that's hanging out. All right, I did the exact same thing with this canvas over here. I don't want to give away this project yet, but basically I just covered the whole front of it and the sides with my vintage dictionary pages. Okay, so let's set that aside. Here's the one that I made before I came live, and it looks kind of messy. So let's take this saran wrap off. You can save it and reuse it if you want. It's up to you. Now, you notice that the edge of the notebook is a mess. Can you see that? So we're just gonna take 2 seconds and trim that up. And it doesn't have to be completely perfect. This is a homemade kind of a journal, and if you're making it for yourself or as a gift, whoever is going to receive it is going to love it, whether you've cut exactly straight to trim the paper off or not. I love homemade gifts, and I do want to start doing a couple things here at DIY Dreaming. I want to get started working on some Christmas ornaments, and also I want to work on making some more gift ideas. So it's going to take probably a solid 2 hours for your Mod Podged paper, whatever you used, whether it was a dictionary, just a book from Dollar Tree, scrapbook paper, sheet music, whatever it was. It's going to probably take a good 2 hours for it to be completely dry. And what I did before I came live was I just went outside and I sprayed this before I even cut it with 1 coat of this clear sealer. What this should do, it can be any brand, you just want a clear matte sealer. What it should do, hopefully, is prevent my stencil from pulling up some of the bits and pieces of paper, okay? And you can see what I was talking about on the binding here. Can you see that? Let's see if I can get it so that you can see. I covered this with the Mod Podge as well. Okay, any questions so far? I'm just scrolling through your comments. All right, so now we have our notebook. You could do the back cover as well if you want. The inside of it looks relatively neat. This is where I'm saying if you're making this as a gift, you could do this here or the very last page, or even on the back of the last page, write the recipient a personal message and include, what you love about them. We're going to be talking about kind words. So, words that are edifying. Those are the kind of words that God wants us to use, and especially now. So, write something nice. And tell them why you made this for them. Remind them what they have done for you, how they have built you up, encouraged you, given you good advice, whatever it is. Okay, so this is the stencil that we'll be using. I haven't used it before, so first thing I'm gonna do is label it. Teaching of kindness. I just used a Sharpie. This way, when I'm done with it, I've cleaned it and it's dry and I'm ready to put it back on the backing slip, I will know which side of the backing sheet and which piece of paper to put it back on, because that is important. All right, where is my, okay. Especially since this is the first time I've used this stencil and we're using it on paper, I am going to fuzz the living daylights out of it using this fuzzing cloth. But you could use your shirt, jeans, any kind of low lint type of fabric. And that is because these green stencils from Magnolia are pretty sticky. And you don't want your stencil to get stuck on permanently. You also don't want it to pull up what's underneath it. And you don't want to stretch your stencil out trying to remove it. So I'm just going to do 3 or 4 times the whole entire thing on my fuzzing towel. Let's see if I have any big pieces of anything on there. All right, well, that doesn't matter because, okay, so that's what we have. And now I'm just going to lay this over the top of my book. And I'm going to sort of put it centered in the area where the paper is. And we're going to use chalk paste on this. And when it's all dry, we'll do another coat of a clear matte sealer spray to make it permanent. Okay, so we're just going to use black chalk paste. If you want to look at these stencils or anything else, I put a link right there to my Magnolia website. I'm just going to take a big glob and put my glasses on. You can see that these stencils are adhesive. They're super easy to work with. If you haven't used stencils before, this kind, these are great. They are reusable many, many, many times. They are mesh. They're adhesive. They're super detailed. They don't slip and slide around. They're just great. And you just need a little bit of chalk paste to do this. Okay, so this is what I have right now. And I'm gently going to pull up the corner and we're going to take a little peek and see, did we do a good job? Yes, we did. You want to pull this off slowly when you've decoupaged something because you don't want to pull up any of your paper. Oh, this is really nice. I don't know if I'm going to give this away or keep it for myself, although I have 100 of these kind of notebooks. Perfect! Okay, I'm going to throw it in my little tub of water face down over here. Clean off my hands and I'll show you what we've got. Isn't this lovely? Lovely, lovely, lovely. And it was $1. You may even have some of these notebooks just hanging around that you could use. I know every year at school time, my kids are out of elementary, junior high, and high school age now, but on the teacher's list, there was always like a couple of teachers that asked for these composition notebooks, and I don't think my kids really ever used them. So we always had these just hanging around. I just love it. You can doll it up if you want with a little ribbon or a bow. You could put it in a cute little clear bag and tie it with a pretty piece of ribbon, and it would make a great gift. So that was super easy. Proverbs 31:26. The teaching of kindness is on her tongue. Love that. Okay, I'm gonna set it aside and show you the other thing that I decoupaged before we got started. This was just one of these canvases that are kind of chunky so that they can be great shelf sitters. This also would make a really nice gift. And these are super affordable. I think at like Hobby Lobby and Michael's you can get a package of them. I believe this is 6 by 6, but you can get a package of them so they're less than $2 a piece. And I did exactly the same thing on this one with the same paper, same Mod Podge. I sprayed it with this before I stenciled it. But I used a different stencil for this one. It's part of this Proverbs 31 stencil that's new that I love so much. And this one says, her children rise up and call her blessed. Proverbs 31:28. This would be so nice to give somebody, your mom, your sister, your best friend, somebody that just had a baby. Isn't that cute? Love it. Okay, the other two stencils that are on this, it's called a Proverbs 31 quad. Say, she is far more precious than jewels, Proverbs 31:10. And then the next one says, she is clothed with strength and dignity, Proverbs 31:25. So this is just a really nice set. Let me put everything aside and let's talk about, let's talk about Proverbs 31 and what the teaching of kindness is and what that means. So this is my favorite part of the whole week, the time that I get to do the Christ part of the Christ in Crafting. And I hope that you guys like it too, that the whole point of this is to encourage you, because I don't know, are we going to go back into some kind of lockdown? But things are difficult for most people right now. And we're not getting out. We're not connecting with other people in person the way we once did. And I just wanted something once a week where I actually went into my Bible and was an encouragement. So I hope that this will be an encouragement to you. So we're talking about Proverbs 31, and I'm sure if you've been to church or in any kind of Bible study, I'm sure you've heard talk about a Proverbs 31 woman. She's called lots of different things, and she has a lot of really great characteristics about her, but the one we want to talk about are her words, okay? And so I thought I would start this by reading Proverbs 31:26 in a couple of different translations, just to give you some ideas about what it means. Okay, the King James Version of Proverbs 31:26 says, she openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. The NIV translation says, and that's New International Version, and that's what I have. I have a Life Application Study Bible in the New International Version. It says, she speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. The NASB, New American Standard Bible, says, she opens her mouth in wisdom, and the teaching of kindness is on her tongue. And the Message translation, let me find it here because they don't ever break things down. I love this. The pertinent part of the Message translation says, when she speaks, she has something worthwhile to say, and she always says it kindly. So that's the main focus of today, although I do have some other Bible verses that just came to me while I was working on this. And I have to start out here with a huge confession because I was so convicted when I was making my outline that with certain people in my life, I can use those words, those kind words. And then with other people in my life, not so much. And golly, it stung. I mean, because I was looking at this in depth and just thinking, oh Lord, I am so sorry. So I don't want you to think that that I figured this all out, because I definitely haven't. But God is definitely, I'm telling you this whole thing today for myself, and maybe it'll be encouraging to you too. So the power of words. Oh my gosh, our words are so powerful. They have the power to either bless or curse someone. They have the power to build someone up or to tear them down. They have the power to reflect positivity or negativity. They show what is in our heart. Oh my gosh. And if you're like me, I'm not always so wise about the conversations I get involved in occasionally. And I'm sure my words have had the power to curse, to tear down, and to promote negativity. So, but I am so glad we're talking about this. So if you are a Christ follower, it's interesting to note that once you become a Christ follower, you become a new creation. And you are living in this world, but you're not of it when you have the Holy Spirit in you after you become a Christ follower. So God wants us to live in the world, but not be of it. He wants us to live in a way that others will notice. They might not know what it is, but they will notice that that there's something different about you, and that it's something that they want. They may not even be able to put it into words. So we're not called to be just like every other person out there. We're called to a different standard. And one of the last things that Jesus said was, go make disciples, which that's Christianese, for go out there and share the good news. So we need to live our lives through our words in a way that it will be appealing to others, that will open conversations and not close doors to having conversations about the good news. That will make the gospel look attractive and make people want it. And right now, in 2020, it seems to me like there's so many words out there, but they're mostly words of hate and division, divisiveness. They're words that are pulling us apart rather than uniting us. It feels like there's not a lot of wisdom in the words that I'm hearing out there, and there's definitely not a lot of kindness. So if you go to Ephesians 4:29, this is Paul, and he's talking to the new believers, the church in Ephesus. And the title of this chapter is Unity in the Body of Christ. So in verse 4:29, and this verse can roll off my tongue, and yet I'm just as guilty as anyone else of not doing what it says. It says, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. So that's one Bible verse that supports this whole idea of being wise in your words and letting them be kind. Also, 1 Thessalonians, where is that? Here it is. In 1 Thessalonians, chapter 5, verse 11, it says, therefore, encourage one another and build each other up, just as in fact you are doing. So we're to build each other up. In Matthew 5:16, it says, Jesus is talking about salt and light. And this is in red, so it's what Jesus actually said to people. Okay, and I'm going to start at verse 13. Jesus says, you are the salt of the earth, but if salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled by men. You are the light of the world. A city on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before men, so that they may see your good deeds. But praise your Father in heaven. The whole idea of this is that through our words, we can reflect a beautiful image of Christ. I mean, our lives and our words are like a mirror, reflecting what is above us. I want to be a good witness. And Lord, I'm so sorry for all the times I haven't been. It makes me sad. So we can reflect positively on the Lord and make having a relationship with him be something that looks appealing, or we can be a bad reflection and have people out there thinking, oh, those Christians, they are such hypocrites. They pretend like they're all this and that, but they are so the opposite of what they say. So our words are super important. And if you look through the whole Proverbs 31, a Proverbs 31 woman is truthful. She is honoring to God. She is loving of others. She is humble. She is compassionate. She is forgiving. She is wise. She's intentional, and she's kingdom-minded, and she's all those things in her deeds, in her life, and in her words. She is not full of vain or foolish talk. And it says in Proverbs 31, when she opens her mouth, in wisdom, when she speaks with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on her tongue. So it says when. So she is wise about when to speak and when not to speak. She is not always talking about vain and foolish things. And her speech is edifying to others. So I don't know, I just think, especially right now, you know, I don't want to get into any politics. I avoid that like the plague, but gosh, it seems like everybody else wants to talk about it, and they want to talk about how this side or that side is so awful, and I just want the words that I use to be kind. And if I made this book, where is it? Where did I put it? Oh, if I was making this for myself, it would be a good reminder that when I speak, it should be in wisdom and with kindness. And in that way, hopefully somebody out there who needs to hear the good news will be more open to it, and I'll be able to do what Jesus said. I'll be able to go and make disciples. I'll be able to go out and share the good news. So anyways, that is basically what I had in mind for today. I don't know if it made real sense or not. There were so many Bible verses that we could have gone to, because there's a lot about our speech here in the Bible. But I hope it wasn't just a whole bunch of gobbledygook, that it was something that was encouraging to you about what we can do now, how we can live our lives right now in the midst of COVID and election chaos and racial strife and economic stress and just everything going on. I hope that this is an encouragement to you. And anyways, I appreciate you guys joining me. I will take pictures of the projects that we did today. I'll put those in the comments here. I will also put them on DiyDreaming. If you want to look at any of these Proverbs 31 stencils or the chalk paste or anything else, I did put a link down here. If you're watching this on YouTube, I will put the information in the description. If you have questions or you want me to pray for you, I would be honored to answer your questions. I mean, I'm no Bible scholar, I'm just a regular person, but I would be honored to answer your questions, and I would love to pray for you. So let me know that too. And I will see you guys tomorrow. So have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you later.